Hello, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Wow, we're moving into October, getting rid of that intensity of September's eclipses and moving into some beautiful, sweet skies for you. You got a touch of extremely positive luck going on between Venus and Jupiter in your sign this month ahead. You've got a fresh start when it comes to things to do with your home. And if you're looking for love and romance, this might be your month. So many good things to talk about for your sign in the month ahead. Let's get started. And welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm a Western tropical zodiac astrologer. This is not sidereal. I use the whole sign house system, and I often bring fixed stars and minor asteroids into my regular content here on YouTube. If you like this kind of all signs content, almost everything I do is all signs, and I put up to 30 videos out a month. Please join me here and subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, and all that jazz. Before we show you the chart and go week by week through the signs, through the sky for you this month, so get ready, settle in, get a notepad, take some notes. Before we start, one quick thing I want to mention. Some of you might catch this video before September 27th. And so if you do, then please join me on Sky Reader. I'm teaching my class again this year, the 6th year running. Sky Reader, Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life. It's a fun class, 6 weeks live with me, 4 guest astrologers added to the mix. You get to keep the content forever. Guest astrology, teaching on relocation astrology, astrocartography, basically, grand aspect patterns, Sabian symbols, and zodiacal releasing, some advanced tools, plus me. And I'm there with you in the weekly Q&A calls in which I coach you midweek every week. Then we have the classes that are live with me, plus you get to keep the content. If you can't attend in your own time zone, you can catch up afterwards. It's all there for you. So in the description box below is a link to the course curriculum and the enrollment page. There may or may not be an available discount code at the time you watch this, but nonetheless, come join me. I'd love to see you there. I apologize. I was waiting for a plumber call. Just for Cancer, the water sign. And also my friend Renn Butler is teaching the Archetypal Universe 6-month course. He's a master teacher. His book, The Archetypal Universe, is on my bookshelf. You guys know I talk about him a lot. He's been on my channel. I'm just sharing that his course starts in October. And if you want to really dive in for 6 months of deep learning, you could use it professionally or personally. It's magical, it's mystical, it's beautiful. I had an interview with him about archetypal astrology as well. I might remember to pin that to my comments, but nonetheless, go ahead and check it out. If you say that Lori sent you, he'll give you a discount code that's no longer active. It was the early bird code that expired, but for friends and fam of Lori, he'll give you that code. So just make sure you mention my name. So guys, Cancers, how are you doing? Because Jupiter is moving through your sign. Jupiter, the greater benefic. I know some of you said, I don't feel the love yet. Yes, because he got off to a bit of a rough start. I'm not going to tell you all the astrology of the rough start, but he's in your sign till next July. And this is going to make you lucky, fertile, magnanimous and generous, leaderful, and also just feeling good about being you. This is often considered, it's every 12 years, it's a luck transit. So that's the backdrop of the sky. You're in your extremely positive Jupiter in Cancer exaltation time. So the backdrop is important because everything else I'm about to say is against the backdrop of the larger positive picture. And so this is a good month for you, the month of October. And we're going to break it down into a week by week delineation. Number 1, as we begin the month, October the 1st and 2nd, Mercury squares Jupiter. Jupiter as a benefic, even in a difficult tension, can bring something positive. So you'll notice that Jupiter in your sign at 22 degrees of Cancer squares Mercury at 22 degrees of Cancer. So the day before October 1st, the day after, news, information, or conversation or communication connected to the home may be difficult, but productive and generative. So you could be having the hard conversation with somebody who lives with you. You may be having a hard conversation from your mom or someone from your childhood. This is the house of the mother. This is also where you live. And this is something that's going on in the home that is going to be about some news or some information or some conversation. With Jupiter in your sign, you're coming out on top, but it might feel, as a squares tends to do, a little bit challenging. And it's ruled by Venus, and she's on the south node of letting go. Maybe you need to let go of a dispute with a neighbor near your home. Maybe you need to let go of some difficult situation with a sibling. Maybe you need to let go of a plan to travel away from your home. Maybe there's some information or news about something in your home or about a sibling one younger that feels a little bit difficult on the 1st and 2nd of October. And it's going to bring you back into the house of your childhood and your mother and things to do with your childhood. And every now and then, this kind of sky can also release information that was secretive that you didn't know about, especially because the moon is moving through the house of secrets. So maybe you're going to find out something about your family of origin or your childhood that you didn't know. And that's what that news or information is. But you're generously welcoming it because you are Jupiter. Moving into the next story. When we move forward by a day, and when I somehow move forward by I should have just checked the ascendant. Give me a minute. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure that I'm not going to, I'm going to lose you in a 5 hot minutes here. Let's move back by an hour. I usually have the ascendant queued. There we go. So let's move ahead by a day. And if we're listening for your sun sign, by the way, I should have mentioned that. That's your like career purpose, and it's the essential core nature of you. It's your soul. If you're listening for the moon, it's your home, your nest, your emotional and mind-body complex. And if you're listening for your rising sign, it's your game simulation avatar, your game simulation avatar. It's a character you play as this, crabby, protective, emotionally sensitive, fiercely loyal to family, Cancer energy. That is your character in the simulation. But when you listen for your ascendant, it's quite often accurate. And secondarily, people often find their sun sign to be somewhat useful as well. I certainly do. Now, let's move ahead by day and get you into the next story. So what about the fact that on October the 6th, we're going to have a full moon, and it's going to happen at 14 degrees, full and big up here in the 10th house. 14 degrees of the sign of Aries. And that's a completion, a fulfillment, an illumination of matters to do with your career or your reputation, or if you're retired, the things you do in the world on the daily that people witness you do and that you'd like to be rewarded for, as like, look how great I am, look how successful I am. So in this regard, you planted a seed March 29th of 2025. This was a new moon in Aries. Now there's a full moon. So it's fulfilling some intention, some shift of perspective on career, and now it's culminating. Sometimes full moons in the 10th house bring a lot of fulfillment in one's career, a new level of success. Sometimes you're pondering, is it time to change or complete or end this path that I've been on? Is there something I want to do differently? And certainly with Chiron up here, you've been aiming for a feeling of purposeful and meaningful use of your talents and gifts in your career since 2019, and really trying to hit that Dharma mark. And this is going to be a reflection, because the moon is like a flashlight in the reputation and career and social standing house. And you might be asking yourself, if this is all it is that you want, or there's more that you want? So it's a big shift. And because this full moon is happening on October the 6th, it doesn't mean that everything happens then. Look to the next, certainly 2 weeks after, for some evidence of what I'm speaking of, and up to the next 6 months later for the full fulfillment. Jupiter says truth. He's in your sign. He says, do what is real, true, wise, what is aligned with your spiritual light when it comes to your career path. And that's going to be a big filter through which you make these career shifts, if you're going to make them. And some of you definitely will. As we progress forward to October 7th, 8th, we'll notice, and we're now sliding into the second week, that Mercury will square Pluto. Now, Mercury is always about some information that you're supposed to be getting, some news, some conversations, some ideas, even thoughts that give you new ideas. And Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio, and he squares Pluto. What happens when Mercury moves into Scorpio is he gets very stealthy and somewhat interior, right? It's a mute sign for him. It's a water sign. You're kind of going to go like inward a little bit with your thoughts. You might keep them to yourself, but this is a practical place. This is the house of your children. And it's like, well, you just might be having a very intense conversation with one of your children, because Mars is that intensity and that fiery energy, although it's in water, is feminine Mars, and it's squaring Pluto, the god of power, the god of secrets that must be unearthed. There may be some disclosures with one of your children, or a clash of agenda, or even a financial challenge that your child is facing, and a confrontation between you and that child in some manner. Although with Jupiter in your sign, you are just absolutely the energetic, wise leader, king, gracious person. Right now, you're able to deal with whatever this might be. If it's not a child, it could be a romantic partner. It could be a lover, and there's some kind of intensity in that part of your life at this time. So that starts out like on the 7th and 8th. And, Mercury, he'll be in Scorpio all the way through to the end of the month, October 29th. So you got to get used to him here. A lot of information and conversations with your lover, with your children. Perhaps you also could consider, if you're an artist, a creative of some type, or an entrepreneur, Mercury is going to help you with Mars's support to really be competitive and really focus on succeeding in your entrepreneurial, artistic, and creative endeavors in life. And maybe Mercury loves to learn. Some of you might be taking some education that enhances the natural talents and abilities with which you were born. And this could be all that Mercury is doing for the month of October. You're learning something, but it's connected to what you're already good at. Certainly Mars here has got you fired up with your muse, and your competitive spirit is on steroids. So for those artists and those creatives, go for it. Write the project, do the thing, get your stuff done, whatever it could be, like follow the muse. October the 8th, 9th-ish. This is the beautiful thing I talked about in the intro. You have Jupiter here, and then Jupiter and Venus hook up in a sextile. You'll start to feel it October 6th. It kind of will continue till about, I'd say you'll feel it to October 9th. So October 6th to the 9th. If you're single and you're looking for a love story, you might meet a soulmate here. You might bump into through travel, online social media, through your neighbors and neighborhood, through an introduction from a cousin, aunt, uncle, cousin, sibling. You could meet your person. You could meet a soulmate person. And it is because also of Mars in the romance house, hooking up to Jupiter and Venus. There's a little bit of a kind of quality here of compatibility that you may never have had in a relationship. If you're looking for a relationship, then you're going to find there's a level of romantic or sexual compatibility or ease that you've never really had before, and you're going to be grateful for. If you felt like you've been fallen, in your love stories, this could be very redeeming. On the other hand, Venus in Virgo is fallen. And so there's a quality too of like, where in the past have you felt like you've fallen in love? Like, I don't mean fallen in love, where love has been a place of discomfort, of difficulty, where you've tripped up, or you've fallen down, right? And this can be a very redemptive sky for you. And I could suggest for a single Cancer looking for love, look no further than October 6th to 9th, especially if you're traveling, you're in a learning environment, you're hanging out with the neighborhood. Actually, come on, like the third house is such a busy house. You could be going to the bar, the restaurant, and you could bump into the person that you're really been waiting for. If you're in a relationship already, this is about maybe needing to look at firing up on all cylinders with creative writing projects, marketing and selling, social media posts, website development, and seeing where you can really tune into a new level of success in that regard. October the 11th, Saturn and Venus are going to have a headbutt. Saturn is about first of all, he's retrograde, so he's kind of soft right now. He's not as tough of a taskmaster as he normally would be. He's more inward and introspective in our sky collectively, and he's often quite easier to deal with in retrogradation, and he's opposite Venus. Now, it's building up on the 9th, 10th, 11th, right? And possibly, and the 12th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. First of all, just generally, Saturn Venus can be money is hard or love is hard. Okay. You're going to feel constricted. Something is intense here. You might feel, oh, I got to take that trip or sign up for that educational program, but financially it's really difficult for me to do that. Or I really love this person I'm engaging in, this relationship that I'm in, the new one that I'm talking about. But my gosh, we have geographical separation now. We have to travel to see each other, and that's hard. There's just some kind of constriction or constraint. But on the other hand, endurance and resilience are a part of what this is about in money and in love. So find the enduring and resilient part of you rather than the woe is me, and say, well, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And so it's not a long transit. It's a short one. Let it ride, let it go through. It won't be the end of the world. Venus does rule your house of land, property, and real estate, and she's in the house of the neighborhood. With the sun shining a spotlight to where you live, there may be some significant possibilities that some of you are contemplating a relocation. If you are contemplating a relocation, it doesn't mean that you're going to move during this time, right? October 9th to the 12th. It means that there's something on your radar about the possibility of changing where you live. Or if you've already changed where you live through that South Node transit eclipse cycle that happened in the last year and a half, 2 years before this time, then you're really looking at maybe just whether you want to shift your neighborhood. Like, I'm not sure I like living next to the deli that opens its doors every morning, and there's noise down below, and there might be something softer and easier to look at than the bigger story I just mentioned. But I will give you this: if you wanted to move and you wanted to sell a home, for example, which is a possibility, Mercury in your fifth house can be the profits, the material negotiated profits, the commercial success from selling a property, especially in his alignment with Mars. And Venus says, well, you might have had to sell it for a little less than you wanted to, but you're glad to let it go. And these themes are playing out around this time. Again, the 9th to the 12th of the month. On the 13th, 14th, 15th-ish, around that time. Oh, I think I covered that already. Yeah. So that's what I was talking about, October 11th. Yeah. Oh, and she's trining Uranus. Now, yeah, did I get that right? So then Venus is going to slide her little butt next door. And here we have her coming up to the 14th, right? 13th, 14th, 15th. We're coming into that window of, the third week of the month. And she's going to trine Uranus, which is usually a happy surprise of some sort. Okay. Some unexpected positive development could be emerging, connected to travel to international foreign lands and destinations, far off shores and places, unexpected prosperity in and from your home, connected to contracts and agreements. Again, some of you might be property selling at this time. A very powerful and positive story in this air trine, right? Because it also hooks up to Pluto, where banking, finances, mortgages, refinances, loans, those energies are extremely powerfully positive, flowing, and fortunate. All righty. It kind of makes a kite up here, like all the way up to Neptune. And there's something about also potentially lifting off to new levels of professional success that you only dreamt of through things you've done in and from your home, or through things that you've done by working through your childhood junk so that you could be a success story. So new success lift off in the career sphere. And certainly having the moon conjunct Jupiter on the day of this liftoff beginning on October 13th is also doubling down on the positive energy for you. That's a very fortunate energy that you're personally holding on to and allowing to come into your beingness. I would say as well, possibly, let me just sit with this. I still think it's something like, for some of you, if you don't sell a property, you could sell a possession. Like, I'm going to sell the car. I'm going to sell my antique furniture, because there's something in the home that can generate profits directly for you at this time. So this will be playing out October 13th until about the 15th. Now we're moving into that second week fully, and we're going to take a look at October 16th to the 17th, when Jupiter now forms a square with the sun. So you'll notice that we had Mercury and Jupiter in a square. We're getting a few squares this month involving Jupiter. So Jupiter's slow moving, he's hanging out there, and the sun will come into a square, starting to feel the energy as early as the 12th of October. It will become pretty exact around here, the 16th. So from the 12th to the 16th, and even onward, maybe the 18th, something's got to give regarding your home life. And also maybe the word women or females, and Jupiter, the wise one. There is a possibility that there could be some person that's a woman that's going to spend some time in your home, and there's a little bit of tension there during that window of time. That could be simply what that is. It doesn't have to be a dark story. But also Venus down here with the sun, she's like, the sun shining a spotlight in the midnight hour. That's really makes sleep sometimes almost impossible. You might be finding you're tossing and turning during this solar transit every year through Libra. But on top of that, Venus is like, well, I want to bring you something good. I got a goodie bag, and I want to surprise you with Uranus, and I want to bring some chunky money your way. Pluto. It's not too shabby, but now the sun is having a tussle with Jupiter, and I'm going to think about it as maybe For you, you might be looking at needing to make some changes with the actual peace and ease in your home life. There may not be the domestic bliss that you really want. You might have to admit to yourself, I'm just not as thrilled with my home life as I want to be. Something's got to change here. And I have the generous and enthusiastic and hopeful way that I'm going to make a change that brings me more joy and pleasure and satisfaction in my home life, in my private life, and in my domestic life. Okay, that's what I'm going to say that feels like to me for you. All right. So then, and that's going to play out over a longer period, like a roughly maybe the 12th, 13th to the 18th of the month. This dukkha, a dissatisfaction that needs to be remedied about your home. Now, technically speaking, with Venus down here, it all works out. There's nothing to worry about at all. All right. So, and October the 19th, Mercury and Mars will bump into each other. Technically, Mercury bumps into Mars. So you'll see it really being obviously clearly happening, and you'll feel the energy. It's called engagement on the 15th of the month. And then let's get the exact conjunction. They're missing each other on the days here, so I'm not going to over belabor it, but I'm going to say from about the 15th of October to about the 20th, okay, the 15th to the 20th or the 21st, Mars and Mercury keep hugging each other. It's pretty exact, by the way, around the 19th. And you may be finding yourself dealing with some conflict in a relationship to a child or a romantic love partner. And if that's happening, it's also about the conversation or the communication you're having. It's about the words that are spoken, the ideas that are shared. Now, Mercury might just be saying something with the Mars is a kid's denesting, right? And you're not too unhappy about it because look at Jupiter's trining that. Oh, you're moving out, honey? How wonderful! I'm really happy for you. Let me pack your stuff. So that's all that could be if you have kids at home, right? No big deal. Your competitive, passionate, fired up streak for art, creativity, the muse, for things to do with your entrepreneurial chutzpah is all up at an all-time high with Mars here, right? He's going to be here all the way through. Mars in Scorpio, started there September 22nd, ends November 3rd. For those artists and those entrepreneurs, get your mojo going. Mercury just could be these crazy-ass passionate ideas you're ready to execute, these new commercial success stories that you're ready to take into play and start your own business, create your own website, launch your incorporation, write your book, finish that painting, get that acting job, whatever. It's all that kind of excitement. And you'll notice that we're going to be getting into this. We're beginning to form this beautiful trine. Now, it is to the North Node, right? The North Node that Mars and Mercury are flowing as we go through this window of the time I just told you about, the 15th to the 20th or 21st. There's a destiny here, a fated element to what's going on. And maybe some of you could get published. Book publishing deals could show up here, or international success. It depends on what you're up to in your daily life. But there you go. Maybe that makes sense for some of you. October the 21st, there's a new moon at 28 degrees of Libra. Now, Libra is your home life, in private life, and domestic life, and that moon will bump into the sun, as you can see, and that's going to be a fresh start. It can take up to 6 months to show you what your new beginning is in the fourth house, and you have new moons here on the regular, so it can literally be a new home, a new beginning, and it's so beautiful to have Venus in her home kingdom blessing this new fresh start, which offers like a beautiful, new, lovely, satisfying fresh start in home, property, land, and real estate. That's not too bad. Now, Jupiter is squaring it, but he brings blessings to everything he does, honestly. So why worry about it? And technically speaking, Venus is also in charge of your windfalls and pennies from heaven archetype. And you might feel like there's something about hitting the jackpot financially, connected to things that are happening in and from your home. So we'll leave it at that. That's a possible yay you moment. It's pretty exciting. To plant a seed of intention on a new moon for this would be to really, what kind of life do you want to be living when nobody sees you, when you're all home alone in your jammies or with the people with whom you domicile out, your domestic private life? What is it that would bring you true satisfaction and pleasure in a balanced, harmonious, and peace-loving way? That's very much the theme of this lunation. And I think that you'll find that this lunation is one of the best ones you've had in a very long while. It can help you heal a chironic wound that you might have been dealing with when it comes to your career and reputation as you settle into some kind of blankie in your home and find there's a true passionate enjoyment in your home. If you're creative or artistic, you could be starting new art projects or creative projects or writing projects or book publishing projects, especially in Libra, in and from your home as a result of the new moon that's settling in here. The last week of the month is important. There's a lot going on here. So let's get diving into the 21st to the end of the month. So the sun, who has just finished squaring Jupiter October 16th to the 17th, now moves into a square to Pluto as the sun leaves Libra and moves into Scorpio season. So around the 23rd of October, the sun in Scorpio, and will be there for a month, firing up all cylinders in your creativity, entrepreneurship, relationship to romance, sexuality, lovers, and children. As the sun moves into this part of the sky, it first has to cross the Rubicon on the 23rd, 24th, into the 25th of Pluto. Now, this is where secrets can be revealed about your lover, about your child, or your child revealing something that you didn't know that was hidden from view. This is an intensity with Pluto. Certainly that is not always welcome, but sometimes when something is revealed, it's also healed. So go with it is where I'm saying. And as this is happening and the sun ingresses, we begin to see the formation of a beautiful water trine. Now, this water trine is glorious and offers an incredible amount of positive energy in the Dharma houses. This is indicating from houses 1, 5, and 9 that as the last week of the month comes into being, you're coming into super flow with purpose, creativity, meaning of life, with the enthusiasm for your spiritual practice, with a connection to the divine, with an amplification of your natural talents and gifts in the world, hitting a new watermark. And so you're really doing well behind the scenes of all of this, even though the sun has to duke it out with Pluto. And because the sun is also creating an energetic portal of some sort that must be focused on down here, I'm wondering aloud, is there something going on in your life with one of your children that you suspected all along, or with your romantic partner, and now you're just willing to look at it? Because the sun points to what we can see, right? And it's in the dark, it's in the midnight. The sun is in the part of the chart that represents the nighttime. So now you've got a big light shining on something that was, maybe you considered it possible or suspected it to be true about a child, about a romantic love partner. And now you're willing and able to see what is really there and have that conversation if needed. You'll notice that the moon is still here, and the moon is in a condition here of her fall. She's still in a new moon phase, still a dark moon in the sky. And having the moon fallen could be a fallen situation with a child. All right, a fallen situation with a romantic love situation. This is also for those of you who might have gotten pregnant. Jupiter can get you pregnant through to July. Some difficult conversations around whether a pregnancy is going to be sustained. Moving onward, sustained or sustainable, let's put it that way. As the month progresses into that last week, take a look at what happens with Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury is now in a beautiful flow to Jupiter. We'll feel it on the 21st already. That's exact on the 23rd. Now, this is information or news that's positive about pregnancy, fertility, children, lovers, and romance. But still, we're shining a light and inspecting the thing that was hidden from view. You could have an unexpected chunk of money coming, or a larger than you expected chunk of money, a wealth chunk coming from the sale of a property. This is a theme of this as well. And this is positive, and you're really enjoying the generosity of the universe at this time. But also Mercury is in a beautiful flow to Saturn up here and Neptune. And he's going to do this energy of holding this water energy. And then Mars will pick up the slack right after. So this trine doesn't go away. It's just the focal point is information, commercial success, negotiation, conversation, followed by Mars, actions and decisions regarding romance, love, children, creativity, projects, and selling the proceeds of a sale of a home or property. Okay, so this is a theme that dominates the end of the week in a very positive way. And as we move forward, you'll see Mars will then take up the slack and begin to hold the kite more directly. So really, it's a tag team between Mars and Mercury flowing to, kite to this beautiful water trine. And then you're going to notice that Mercury is getting bored of being in Scorpio and crosses into Sagittarius. He'll be there till about the 19th of November, but then retrogrades. So he's coming back on the 19th into your 5th house of children. So we'll do that in November's video. But he is testing the Sagittarian waters. And the first thing he does is bring a surprise, unexpected event or information or news. It can be connected to an animal in your life, a pet. It can be connected to a rental property agreement. It can be connected to a health matter. It can be connected to a debt situation, money owed to you or money you owe to someone else. And there's information, there's surprise, there's news. Because Pluto's in the mix, it may involve secrets, but it almost also could involve bank loans, mortgages, chunks of money, inheritance money, money coming at you somehow unexpectedly, debt repayment, someone pays you back, you thought you had forgiven the loan and the money shows up. That's a possibility as well. Mercury in this part of the sky, forming this wedge to Pluto, right? And it's not too bad. It's nothing to be grumpy about. I like the sextile between Mercury and Pluto. And this is a very X-ray vision. You might be able to uncover something like forensically, almost like the accountant found out you had an investment that nobody knew and it's paid off, or a stock suddenly takes off, something like that. You never know. But don't forget, this is a health house, and this is sort of a surprise from the hospital house. And I don't know what that is. I don't think it's you. I really don't, Cancer, but I'm leaning into the pet story myself, but that's just for some of you, unexpected challenge with the health of one of your animals could happen at this time. Venus is protecting the property, so I don't think you're going to have a disruption of your rental agreements at all. So that's what I'm going with. And Mercury's coming into the bending of the nodes of fate, not now, but in November. And then we'll be talking about that critical juncture of a turning point in your 6th house next month. So stay tuned. That's what I've got for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to join me on Patreon community where I teach classes and we get together in small Zoom context, check it out below. It's a mere $7 a month. If that's your cup of tea, that's where you get to meet me and spend time with me. If you want to check out Pluto Chronicles and Substack, where I am growing quickly and I keep trending as a bestseller on the leaderboard, you might enjoy my free content there, and also sometimes paywalled, depending on what you're reading. Lots of free content. And please come join me in Sky Reader, or if it's past September 27th, check out Renn Butler's The Archetypal Universe course. Honestly, you won't regret it. It was one of the best astrology courses I ever took for 6 months back in the pandemic in 2020. It changed my view of my own chart and the way I see astrology. I found out I'm dreaming the sky, or is the sky dreaming me? Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. See you in the next video. Don't forget, like and subscribe.